What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Mr. Madrid from the Mr. Madrid Show. And today is episode number 13. And this one is called Self Reflection. And I'll tell you why. So, your boy has gained a couple pounds. I work a 9 to 5 and I'm always sitting down and I'm hypoglycemic. I suffer from lupus, arthritis, all these things, right? Being hypoglycemic, I'm constantly like when my sugar drops, I gotta eat like candy, drink a Coca-Cola, anything that puts sugar in my body. And sometimes I forget to eat, so I overindulge. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I started incorporating going on walks. Yeah, I started off with trying to do 20-minute, 30-minute walks a day. The cool thing and the reason that I'm even talking about this is number one, I highly recommend anybody to pick up walking. I don't like going to the gym. I have so much things going on, and I'm giving you guys an excuse. That's really what it is. I'm not, of course, I can incorporate the gym into my calendar or my schedule and things like that, but I just haven't put the right effort into doing so. So my goal, secretly, is just to at least get out, go for a 30-minute, 45-minute walk on the daily. The first time I did it, my legs were killing me. I was surprised how out of shape I am that I can't even go on a 30, 45-minute walk. I can't even imagine going to like Disney or something like that, spending the day there. Forget it. I'm gonna need to go on a whole vacation just to like recuperate from that. But when I was walking today, the 45-minute walk, I didn't want to listen to music. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I really just wanted to be by myself with my thoughts. So I've been listening to this audiobook called Master Your Emotions. And I'm about 19 chapters into it, at least, through audio. And it's a magnificent book. It talks a lot about conditioning your thoughts. And it talks about how, we we are made, due to survival factors, to automatically look for anything negative in the world, in life, in any circumstance. You're instantly looking for the negatives because we're programmed to make sure that we're always seeking a way to survive. So that gives me some clarity because I'm like, all right, if we're already conditioned like that, then the negative is already there. And I've always said, like, the easiest thing to do is to be negative. The challenge is to take on that frame of mind to be positive. So it's talking about conditioning yourself to view things from a different perspective, from a different point of view, and be positive. Now, the author does talk about like him knowing that it's not going to be from one day to another. He talks about taking little spurts of time where you kind of look at the world, look at your life and things like that, and start looking for positive things in it, just to improve your mood. And those little exercises will end up trickling down, will end up snowballing into a major change in your life, where you actually start conditioning yourself just to start thinking outside of your norm, right? I feel like I've always kind of done things like that. I've always kind of played around with my mind. I try to trick my mind into doing certain things. And I'm not telling you there's a perfect science to what I do, but I remember like years back just saying like, you're conditioned to be a certain way. You're conditioned to this, conditioned to that. I think it was a rapper 50 Cent, who would always talk like that. He's like, he was conditioned to survival. He was his conditions and his environment made him who he was. And I think back to my childhood and things like that, and I'm like, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of walls that I've put up, specifically from the conditions that I grew up in. I'm always waiting for people to let me down, and I think that's one of the main things that led to my Christianity. Now, this is not going to be a podcast episode where I'm going into, why you should seek God and things of that nature, but definitely seek God if you haven't already. God is everything. Okay. um, but placing my faith in other people, or let's say another man, right? A friend, whatever it may be. I've always ended up disappointed and we're human, right? I'm not saying that I haven't ever let anybody else down or disappointed somebody else, but enough was enough in that sense, and that's why I put my faith, I put my life back in God's hands, and I completely submitted. Me and my wife got baptized. Beautiful things have happened since then. I feel like I'm extremely blessed and constantly feeling, loads of amounts of peace in my life, because I think it brought a lot of clarity and understanding. But yeah, to get back to the book, today specifically, he was talking about an author. The author's name is Mel Robbins, and she wrote a book called The 5 Second Rule. And you do your own research, okay? I'm just letting you know what I heard on the pod on the ebook Audible, um, and basically, and this is so cool because okay, I get excited talking about this stuff. So in the ebook that I'm listening to, he talks about Mel Robbins in the 5 Second Rule. She wrote a book about this, so you guys can go ahead and go buy it. I'll probably put the link in the description so you guys can check that out if you want to. I haven't checked it out yet. There's 2 books. I actually want to get Master Your Emotions, which that's the book that I'm reading. I want to get the actual paperback version, just because I love putting highlights and things like that. You'll also find that down in the description as well. I'll share that with you guys. But the 5 second rule is basically saying that if an idea comes to your mind, within 5 seconds, your brain will automatically start coming up with reasons why you shouldn't pursue the idea that you just thought about. Isn't there something else? Not only are we wired for survival and to automatically, scan the room, scan your surroundings, scan everything for the negatives just to make sure you ensure your survival. But then when you get let's say it's a brilliant idea, within 5 seconds, you're already talking yourself out of it. And I could only describe it as, I remember I went, this was when I was living up in New York. I went with my sister, my nephew, my wife, my daughter. We all went up to this creek up in upstate New York. There's a little cliff that you could throw yourself off of. And I was so down and excited about taking that leap and throwing myself in the water because I thought it was so cool, this, that, and the third. So when we get there, I'm like, oh man, I want to go up there. I see the cliff where you could throw yourself off. So from my point of view, looking up, doesn't look that high. So I'm like, all right, babe, I'll be right back. Water, by the way, is freezing cold. Okay, freezing. It's freezing out there. So this is I think Labor Day weekend, right? Because Memorial Day is in May, Labor Day weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong. Put it down in the comments. But we went out there, and I was hyped. I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna show people that I got the beads, if you will, to throw myself off the cliff. So I get up there. My nephew's up there. He's like, dude, this is super dope. He's excited about it. So he's waiting for me to jump. I got cold feet. I started overthinking. I'm like, what if, I break a leg? What if this, what that, this, that? Ultimately, I jumped. I did it. But what I'm trying to say is there's so much excitement, uh, so many thoughts that go behind when you get an idea, or when you take a leap of faith, or when you just jump in, right? In that case, I'm jumping in the water. Um, that I let those 5 seconds go on and on and on and on, to the point that now I'm scared. Now this is not even fun. And I think that's a perfect analogy to the situation, where it's like, if you have a thought, or you have something that you want to pursue, or a move that you want to make, obviously you want to do your research and things like that, but do it. You know, I just posted a little clip the other day just about content creation itself. And, that's another perfect example where it's all day today. And I'm being completely transparent with you guys. All day today, I was thinking about what I wanted to do as far as an episode. And I battle with the same things I talk about. I don't have it figured out. I go through these battles where, I always want to post and I always want to record, but I'm so scared to do it and then fail. So I'm really on some effort stuff where it's like I'm really forcing myself to move forward. Um, I think it was one of my friends on social, Dub Work, when I posted that content, he was like, fail forward. 100%. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Like, this fear shit is played out. And it sucks because it affects everybody, even myself. But I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with wanting to make moves, and I can't because of this thing called fear. And fear is not going to go anywhere. Okay? Fear isn't going anywhere. It's always going to be there. But you have to use that shit as and excuse my French. I really try not to curse too much, but I do it anyway. um, you know, fear is always going to be there. It's never going to go anywhere, but we have to find ways around it. And if you can't go around it, then go through it and use that fear as motivation to move forward. And even like recording this little podcast episode that I'm doing today, there's a lot of fear that goes behind it, but it's like, I'm just rolling with the punches, baby. All I'm doing here is bobbing and weaving. You know what I'm saying? And it's a fight against myself. It's I was talking to my wife about it today. It's like, it's you versus you at the end of the day. You're your biggest, you can be your biggest champion or you could be your biggest enemy, and you have to root for yourself. And I've mentioned this in a previous podcast, where I'm a firm believer in fuck with yourself heavy. By the way, I'm thinking about making shirts and selling the merch. And I'm hoping that you guys will support me with that. But I'm more on that later. But this whole content creating thing, it's very scary because you're exposing yourself out to the masses and to whoever will watch. And I upped the ante a little bit more, where now I got a little upgrade on my camera. I bought a new lens, wife approved, and a new microphone that I could take with me on the go. And I'm vlogging now. So I have one video that I put together. You guys could check it out. I'll have it in my YouTube channel under vlogs. And I'm incorporating not only myself, but my family. I'm going to show you I guess like you could call it a daily vlog, but it won't be daily. It'll be kind of like a day in the life type thing. And the first one that I have, I think my wife was out of town. She had to travel for work, and I had my kids on there, and my daughter's super excited about this. And that's another thing, right? That leads me to my next point. The community that you build around, not only on some personal stuff where it's like family, but also business wise, and the friends that you have things in common with, like friends that may be also creating content or wanting to create content. You have to build a massive amount of support within each other, and know that you're all kind of fighting the same battle. And the battle is really not somebody externally. It's typically fear, what I mentioned before. We're all fighting that fear, and we all need self reassurance. We all need sometimes a pat in the back, or somebody to say, to kind of like boost you up a little bit. Like, my wife is amazing. She always puts the battery in my back. She holds me accountable. My daughter, my little baby, the other day we're leaving, and I told her that we're gonna be taking the camera with us everywhere we go. And she's like, Dad, where's the camera? We got a vlog. And I'm like, baby, not today. And she's like, no, 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 we have to. You said we're going to do it every day. Dude, I was blown away. Like, my daughter, my 10-year-old, is holding me accountable. And I respect it. She basically checked me, and she put me back in perspective of the things that I had set out to do. And it's like, I, I'm not letting my daughter down. I'm not letting my daughter see that I'm not going to be consistent. And even when she approaches me about not being consistent and tries to help me, come on, bro. What am I? Who am I if I decline that, or if I'm like, you know what, forget that. So building an amazing community around you. And it doesn't have to be people that you've known for years. There's people that I follow on social that, I check in on, they check in on me. And I appreciate that community that I'm building and that I've built. And I'm one that loves to support others. And you know, the one thing that this conversation here is going to lead to is something that my wife and me always talk about. I'm going to give her credit for this. She says not everyone is going to root for you all the time, and that's a tough pill for me to swallow, to be honest with you. And it's because, like, I don't have an ounce of hate in my blood, you know. And I think somewhere, some book somewhere says that, it's human nature to have envy or to feel a little jealous. I guess so. I can't tell you that I really despise or envy or feel jealousy over anybody else. If anything, if I see somebody else, that has triumph or has had success or anything like that, I study the moves that they make. You know, I don't try to mimic exactly what they did, but if somebody has a successful podcast and they're within my circle, I'm gonna tap in. I want some information. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you do that? And I feel like that if the person is a friend, if the person is a supporter of you, they should be willing to give you that information off of the love. You know what I'm saying? We could, at the end of the day, if one of us wins, we all win. And I'm talking about being within a circle. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that. And sometimes even the closest of friends don't realize that, don't realize the value in supporting one another. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's all part of being human. But at the same time, hold each other accountable. Sometimes you got to put your own people's, your own friends, family, loved ones, feet to the fire so they can know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel themselves a little too much. Some people don't know what's going on. Some people act like they don't know what's going on. So, you got to hold people accountable, but at the same time, with everything that I just said, you have to protect you. You have to protect your dreams. You have to protect the aspirations that you have going on. You can't be telling everybody everything. And I'm someone who has a long resume of that, of telling people my moves, of showing people more than they should see. And what I've realized in that is that I've had friends that support me from afar, that show me love from afar, that, they send me messages and tell me, that I'm doing amazing things. And not too long ago, I had a friend that came close to me and I let into my world. And for some reason, I felt like it ended up being a situation where they envied me. Um, and I'll never understand that because I don't have that emotion. I can't relate. You know what I mean? And like my boy Chris Work says, the real can relate. Like, if what you're doing is real and I'm real, I can relate because the real can relate. And I hope I didn't butcher that saying, but that's my interpretation of it. Shout out to my boy Chris. It'll be the closest one. And I despise talking about haters or naming the haters or any of that bullshit. I don't like it. I don't like talking about whatever, bro. Whatever. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you. In fact, when I don't like somebody, to be honest with you, I just keep my distance. Very simple. If you didn't know you could do that, that's on the house. If you don't like somebody, keep your distance from them. If they don't like you, more power to them. It doesn't matter. And I'm someone that has this ability that when I don't feel somebody, they do not exist to me. And I haven't gone to therapy or anything like that. So I can't tell you that that's the right way of going about it, but that's the way I've learned to condition myself to be. The more you let somebody into your world, the more protective you have to be. Like, I have to be careful who I speak to. I have to be careful what I say to who I speak to and whom I say what I say to. And my sister always has told me, like, you cannot tell everybody everything. And I'm spilling the beans on that, but that's a gem that she's always been telling me since I was a kid. And I understand it now. I genuinely understand that now. And I've seen the change in going from somebody who spills the beans about everything to now being protective and holding everything close to the chest. And that's one thing that I'll close out this episode with, is just a couple of unsolicited pieces of advice. This is the unsolicited advice portion of the program, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, and I probably said this before, but I'm gonna always say it to you guys, because I genuinely have love. I love giving people gems, I love dropping gems on people. I love talking that talk. I love, preaching without being a preacher, and sometimes I preach to the choir. But number one, take care of your health, man, because that's something that I know is not easy, and I'm trying, right? Number two, get into reading or listening to ebooks. It's amazing what type of information you'll find in self-help books and things of that nature. I believe, to me, I've never read the whole Bible, but I've read a couple of the books inside the Bible, and I think the Bible is the best, by far, self-help book that I've ever, looked into. That's number two, right? Number three, believe in yourself, root for yourself, be your own champion. Fuck with yourself heavy. Shirts are coming, by the way. Fuck with yourself heavy. Number four, build a community of people that you don't need anything but support from them, and support them as well. Like, you have to, you know, reciprocate that energy, keep good energy within that community, bounce ideas off of each other, boost each other's self-esteem up. Just build an awesome community. It doesn't have to be people you grew up with. It doesn't have to be people that you actually live in the same state with. It could be people on social. I can't tell you how many people I've met through social media that I lock in with them from time to time, and it's amazing. They drop gems on me, I drop gems on them, and it's beautiful. And number five, and the final one, right? Be careful who you share what with and how much you share. This is coming from somebody who's in the past had no filter and basically trusted everybody with everything. And it's a dog eat dog world, unfortunately. But you have to protect your peace, your sanity, your dreams, your aspirations, all that stuff. So just protect yourself, protect yourself. And that's all I got for you guys today. And keep in mind, by the way, I'm gonna get that book, but I love the fact that I heard that ebook today where um the author of Master Your Emotions is talking about the 5-second rule. Let that sink in a little bit. 5 seconds after you have an idea in your brain is already figuring out a way to talk you out of it. Ain't that some stuff? I'm closing out, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody has an amazing week. I wish you guys nothing but peace and love, and thank you for tuning in. Peace.